Development of Northern Metropolis starts engine as the first pilot land parcel in Hung Shui Kiu begins tendering tomorrow. 2 urban residential plots will be up for sale next quarter despite private housing supplies having exceeded targets thanks to favorable market sentiments. And Beijing stages live-fire war games surrounding Taiwan, simulating blockade of major ports. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Quentin Yang. The first pilot land parcel of the Northern Metropolis in Hung Shui Kiu will commence tendering tomorrow for 6 months. Meanwhile, the non-statutory company to drive industrial development at Hung Shui Kiu is expected to start operations mid-year next year. Evelyn Bai has more details.
The pilot area in Hung Shui Kiu, measuring 11 hectares, covers 3 residential plots and 3 plots for enterprise and technology parks. Development Chief Bernadette Lin revealed that the 2-envelope approach will be adopted in the tender exercise, with non-price experts weighing for 70% of the score. The Development Bureau will adopt a flexible approach to land premium payments. Successful bidders need only pay at least 25% of premium within 28 days of the announcement of results, with the balance to be settled within 3 years, interest-free during this period. Meanwhile, the Bureau announced it planned to name the company the Hung Shui Kiu Industry Park Company, which will be wholly government-owned, but operate with commercial agility. The company will have multiple tools at its disposal, including developing and leasing industrial buildings itself, directly selling land, or take equity stakes in specific projects, officials said. The Bureau will soon seek approval to grant the company about 23 hectares of land in Hung Shui Kiu for advanced construction free of premium. Initial funding will be injected following next year's budget. 5 Policy Bureau secretaries will serve as its official directors, and an open recruitment for Chief Executive Officer will launch next month, targeting full operations by mid-2026. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Riding on the improvement of market sentiment in the property market, the government unveiled plans to sell 2 plots of residential land in the urban areas from January to March next year. Jamie Liu reports.
The first parcel is on Choi Ha Road in Ngao Tau Kok, which is expected to yield 470 flats. The second one is on Shao Ki Wan Main Street East, offering around 200 flats. Housing supply from other sources for the quarter will include MTL's 1,290-unit project at Kam Sheung Road Station and an 810-unit project on Kowloon City's Sai Po Road to be tendered by the Urban Renewal Authority. Development Chief Bernadette Lin said if the land sale went according to plan, the total private housing supply in the entire financial year will reach 15,750 units, around 20% above the initial target.
We are encouraged to see this overshooting because it reflects that the private market is gaining momentum and picking up again. And we are glad to facilitate through our land sales as well.
Lin also believed new private projects would help sustain employment in the development sector from professionals to frontline workers. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Meanwhile, the city's official home price index continued its upward trend. According to the Rating and Valuation Department, November's home price index stood at 297.3, up 0.9% from the previous month, marking the 6th monthly increase and the highest level since last July. Year-to-date, prices for lived-in homes have edged up 2.8%, narrowing the decline from the historical peak in September 2021 to around 25%. Prices have risen across all unit types, with the most significant increases observed in both medium-sized unit types, with an area ranging from 430 to 1,075 square feet, rising by over 1%. Meanwhile, the sustained upward trend in rents saw the rental index rise by 0.2% month-on-month in November to 200.7, surpassing the previous high recorded in August 2019 to reach a new all-time peak. Over the first 11 months of the year, the rental index has accumulated a rise of about 4.3%, continuing to outperform property prices. In other news, the People's Liberation Army is executing multi-directional live-fire drills in the skies and seas surrounding Taiwan, in a major show of force just days after a record U.S. arms sale to the island. The operations, codenamed Justice Mission 2025, involve forces from the PLA Army, Navy, Air Force, and Rocket Force encircling Taiwan from 5 zones, including the Taiwan Strait and areas to the north, southwest, southeast, and east of the island. Precision drills involving destroyers, fighter bombers, and drones, coordinated with long-range rocket fires, were carried out in the sea and airspace to the north and southwest of Taiwan on Monday. Meanwhile, further live-fire practices are scheduled to continue in designated zones on Tuesday, according to Shi Yi, spokesperson for the PLA Eastern Theater Command. She stressed the operation serves as a stern warning against Taiwan independent separatist forces and external interference, calling it a legitimate and necessary measure to uphold China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Military experts note that these drills are occurring closer to Taiwan than usual, with a specific focus on simulating the blockade of key ports and military bases on the island. In response, Taiwan's authorities stated they have deployed forces following standard procedures. The maneuvers follow the recent U.S. approval of an historic $11.1 billion arms package for Taiwan, which the Defense Ministry warned it would take forceful measures in response. The Hong Kong Tourism Board will hold this year's New Year Countdown event at the Chater Road Pedestrian Precinct in Central, featuring Australian rock duo Air Supply and an immersive light show. Jimmy Liu shares more.
Themed New Hopes, New Beginnings, 8 buildings in Central will welcome the new year with projections of a giant countdown clock and seasonal patterns and present a 3-minute light show. There will also be live performances by rock band Air Supply and several local artists. The performances will be broadcast live through large screens at Chater Garden and Edinburgh Place and an outdoor projection at the Hong Kong Cultural Centre in Tsim Sha Tsui. This year's arrangement came after the HKTB called off the annual New Year's fireworks display at Victoria Harbour following the deadly Taipo fire. Officials downplayed the impact of the cancellation and expressed confidence in this year's plans.
Most of the visitors, in particular from the mainland, they are looking for the city ambience rather than 1 or 2 particular elements that they want to see or to enjoy during their stay in Hong Kong. So we are quite confident that the new format of the upcoming countdown, with the music performance, with the light and sound show, will still provide sufficient attractions.
Meanwhile, starting at 6 p.m. that day, special traffic arrangements, including road closures, will be put in place around Chater Road. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Hong Kong Island's harbourfront has just leveled up as the eastern section of the East Coast Boardwalk in North Point has officially opened, connecting the 13-kilometer promenade from Kennedy Town to Shau Kei Wan. A standout feature is the glass observatory deck at this final kilometer, ideal for a stroll and offering sweeping harbour views. Evelyn Bai tells us more.
Unveiled on Monday morning, the last section of the boardwalk spans 1.1 kilometers, stretching from North Point Promenade to Hoyu Street in Cory Bay. The experiential glass observatory deck was the first thing to catch visitors' eyes, allowing them to look down at the harbor beneath the boardwalk. For safety and to protect the glass surface, visitors are required to wear the provided shoe covers. This woman said the glass reflections reduced clarity and made it hard to see the water below clearly. It was beautiful and I traveled from Guangzhou after watching the news of the boardwalk opening, said this man.
真係好靚，喺度有外國感覺。
This man said standing here felt like being in a foreign country. He noticed many Hong Kongers were courteously wearing the shoe covers and hoped everyone would follow the rules for the facility's durability. The deck is open daily from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and will close temporarily in adverse weather. While the remaining sections, including a pet-friendly zone, a shared path for walking, jogging, and cycling, and a dedicated pedestrian walkway, are open around the clock.
經過10幾年，終於今日就可以落成。
Harbourfront Commission Chairman Ivan Ho noted that, after more than a decade, they have finally completed the project, linking up the entire island's harbourfront, building on past experience in promenades and public spaces for citizens to enjoy. Authorities expect kiosks and multi-purpose spaces to be set up in the area in the first quarter of next year. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Both U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported progress after their talks in Florida aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. Trump said Ukraine and Russia were closer than ever before to a peace deal, but admitted thorny territorial issues remained unresolved. Jimmy Liu reports.
Greeting Zelensky at his Florida resort, Trump insisted he had no deadline in mind for ending the war and that both Ukrainian and Russian leaders truly want peace. During their talks, they also called European leaders, including those of Finland, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, and Poland. Trump said they were very close to a deal and that it would be clear in a few weeks whether the peace talks would succeed. However, he admitted the fate of Ukraine's disputed Donbas region, which is now largely controlled by Russia, remained unresolved.
We could be very close. There are one or two very thorny issues, very tough issues, but I think we're doing very well. We've made a lot of progress today, but really we've made it over the last month. This is not a one-day process deal. This is very complicated stuff.
Zelensky stressed that guarantees of security, which saw progress in their discussions, are key components in ensuring long-term peace.
20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and U.S.-Ukraine security guarantees, 100% agreed. U.S.-Europe-Ukraine security guarantees, almost agreed. Military dimension, 100% agreed. Prosperity plan being finalized.
You know, you can say 95%, but I don't like to say percentages. I just think we're doing very well.
Trump added that he was willing to speak to Ukraine's parliament, as any peace agreement requires parliamentary approval or a referendum, according to Zelensky. Zelensky also suggested Ukrainian officials could meet at the White House in January, potentially alongside European leaders. Shortly before the talks at the Palm Beach estate, Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke in a phone call. Putin urged Kyiv to make a bold, responsible political decision regarding Donbas for there to be a complete cessation of hostilities. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 183 points. Top active stocks of the day, Tencent was down $6.50. Alibaba was down $2.70. Meituan was up $1, while SMIC was down $1.50. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar, euro 9.14, Japanese yen 49.72. Exports from the city climbed at the fastest pace in nearly 2 years in November, driven by strong demand for electronic-related products. Exports grew 18.8% in November from a year earlier, while imports jumped 18.1%, both beating market expectations. The trade deficit came in at $48.5 billion in the month. Over the January-November period, exports and imports rose 14.3% and 14.1% respectively. Looking ahead, a government spokesman said that sustained moderate global economic growth and persistent demand for electronic-related products will underpin the city's merchandise trade growth in the near term. The government will continue to enhance economic and trade ties with different markets and stay vigilant to various external uncertainties. On to the weather now. Mainly fine, cool tomorrow morning with relatively low visibility in some areas. Warm and dry during the day, temperatures will range between 17 and 23 degrees. And that's our news tonight. I'm Quentin Yang. Thank you for watching. Good night.